Hi, my name is Natalie, and I will be doing my photo voice on Brookfield, Illinois. Brookfield is just a couple miles outside of Chicago, and here we go. So, the train tracks on Grand Boulevard. This is a station that many people in the community go to commute downtown on the daily. So whether it be for work on a construction site, office building, or working in a law firm, different people of different socioeconomic statuses, religions, cultures, nationalities all take the train. When you get onto the train, you are surrounded with different literacies, whether it be the communication you hear between two people, the signage that's sometimes in multiple languages. There's different conductors and workers on the train that speak different languages. Super welcoming, super inviting. It's really inclusive because of the population we have in Brookfield, of anybody can take the train. It's an inexpensive way to do that. Again, it's also a 15-minute drive or a 15-minute train ride to Chicago. So those stops between Brookfield and Chicago are also really culturally inclusive stops. Some of them are Cicero, Berwyn, and other ones that are just super inviting and welcoming. Also on Grand Boulevard, there's different restaurants and establishments with cultural backgrounds, which is something an emerging bilingual would think was awesome because they could walk into these establishments and just speak freely in their language, and just it's a sense of a community kind of. This is kind of a general picture, just to overview some things at Brookfield. So this is what a typical house in Brookfield would look like. The literacy rate in Brookfield is high. Over 75% of the residents have their GEDs, but it does go to a smaller percentage that actually go on to college. The way the town is laid out, you can tell that there's different levels of literacy. And that can definitely be seen in a bad way. And one way that one example of that. Is when I was younger, you would get invited to birthday parties in your classroom, and I remember the kids that lived kind of in these lower income level areas of Brookfield. Parents wouldn't let their kids go to those birthday parties, and I remember broke their hearts. And looking back now, I think I really know that was why. And so that's something an immigrant wouldn't see to be welcoming and cool, not cool, but good about Brookfield. So this is S.E. Gross. It's a middle school in Brookfield. It's the only one actually. The feeder school is Brook Park, which I'll get to later. Over the past 5 years, though, the school has undergone major renovations because there's so many young families coming in with young children, which is amazing because with all these families comes all these different nationalities and cultures, which is something that is welcoming to other immigrants or other families that want to come to Brookfield to make a life for themselves, because you can also see it in the classes. The S.E. Gross offers Spanish to all 3 grade levels, which is something that if you see coming into Brookfield that it's practice, you can think that your student goes in and will feel welcome to speak their native language. So St. Barbara and St. Louis parishes are the 2 Catholic churches in Brookfield. In Brookfield, actually 38% of the residents practice Catholicism, which is a pretty good chunk of people. So with that being said, these 2 churches also have large Spanish masses, and religion is often tied in with some cultures very closely. So for bilinguals and emergent bilinguals to see this and just have somewhere to go to practice something that could be possibly something so close to home, that they can relate to so much, is so important. At these masses, they're conducted in a very fast Spanish. Native speakers are familiar with that. So literacy that's here would be reading, songs, sermons, the Bible passages are all literacy that is practiced here that's bilingual. Brook Park Elementary is the elementary school in Brookfield. Again, the only one. So these students are literally going to school with each other from kindergarten to high school, to graduate high school. Um, Brook Park has amazing resources for ELLs. Um, being a resident in Brookfield, I know how much emphasis that they put on the ELL learners. They have resources that just like gross, if anything more, because like we learned in this class, those stepping stones, like having those solid beginning stepping stones are so important because this English language will follow them inside and out of school for the rest of their lives. So it's just super important. As I know, as I know, being again someone that went to Brook Park, and know how the times are changing, I think classes like 248 and my other ESL classes, they're really preparing me to go into this school and teach in a district like this, and I really don't think I would have any issues with the transition. The forest preserves and the trail in Salt Creek are kind of connected. The forest preserve in Brookfield are where many families have parties, and there's also um, like large areas that have like public gatherings. We had a gathering of a Hispanic representative in our community be there. That was super awesome for people to see, immigrants to see, ELLs to see, bilinguals to see, um, that this is something that's a big part of our community. Also, with Salt Creek, there's tours you can take, and like the tour guides are sometimes bilingual. Um, the trail has a lot of community places that anybody can be. Again, um, anybody has the opportunity to rent them out, and if you need help to book these places, you book them at the village hall. The village hall has resources to speak to by like bilingual workers to speak to book this, so there's no issue between this happening, which is just a good something good to see the community have for these bilinguals. Okay, talking about the village of Brookfield, again, there's several different resources for immigrants and emerging bilinguals. There are bilingual workers that can help you with property questions. A lot of times, like street cleaning, tree cutting, those things. That's like can be a huge thing, like a huge issue. And if you can't communicate with the person, like what the issues are, then it just would create more issues. Sorry, I just said issues like 3 times, but it just eliminates any miscommunication. That's the word I was looking for. Um, there's also before and after care offered here, as well as day camps for students. The counselors, when applying, need to apply whether or not they're bilingual. And I know the village really tries to get bilingual workers because having an immigrant parent that may not speak the best English, that's really hard to send your kids somewhere to like get taken care of and like not feel comfortable that they can speak freely and speak how they want to speak, and maybe just like how they know to speak, which can be a huge issue again, and it just eliminates miscommunication. Another thing that is super awesome is the police department, my bad, has a bilingual officer on duty at all times for obvious reasons. If there's ever an issue with something and a person cannot communicate to a police officer, so many issues can come up with that. And again, it just eliminates having that miscommunication, which is amazing for bilinguals and immigrants. The Brookfield Zoo is a huge tourist attraction. People from all over the country and world come here, so for them to have inclusive inclusive signage, exhibits, anything is super important, and they really do have bilingual things. Not a lot, but there are a good amount of bilingual workers that work there. They really push for anybody and everybody to apply to work there because they want to create this welcoming atmosphere for immigrants, for bilinguals, for everybody. So again, just animals, my teacher freshman year told us that animals are something that the language, like there's no like language barrier in animal names. I'm not sure how true I think that is, but that was something she really pushed on us my freshman year. Ogden Avenue is another place of just a lot of establishments of different cultures. It stretches all the way to Chicago, so you can take it anywhere and again be immersed into culture. An amazing thing for bilinguals and immigrants. In Brookfield in particular, there is a Thai restaurant, an Italian restaurant, and several Mexican restaurants on Ogden. Again, you could walk into these establishments and they're all so like it's just like such a close knit community that when you walk in there, you just feel like you can speak to all the workers in their native language. Two of the restaurants in particular have really, really active roles in the community in parades and festivals. So again, for an immigrant to come in and see this, or an ELL to come in and see this, that's so good because they have that community there that they can feel welcomed in and feel like, oh, I did this when I was, if you're an immigrant at home, in my home, like I know all this, and just a good community for them to have again. The Brookfield Fire Department, super awesome, just like the police department. There's always a bilingual firefighter on duty, as well as an EMT. So in Brookfield, you have to be an EMT and firefighter. So again, they're here to make you safe. When someone feels unsafe and they can't communicate with an EMT or with a firefighter, there will be issues, and having that person to talk to you in your native language is an awesome resource to just keep everyone safe. First National Bank of Brookfield. It's probably one of the biggest banks in Brookfield. At the bank, there is a Polish teller as well as a Spanish teller. There's also bilingual bankers that work in the back, working with loans and other bank functions. Huge thing, because financial doings really affect everybody and affect you in so many ways. So if someone can't communicate with the banker or the teller, so again, miscommunication can happen, and that's huge things about the future, about people families' futures, that with the bilingual teller just will eliminate completely, and it does. Hate has no home here signs. At some point last year, these signs started popping up all over Brookfield, and they say, obviously, hate has no home here, and it's outlined with different nationalities and religions. Huge thing, welcoming for everybody. Obviously, the literacy here is writing because it's on a sign, but it makes everyone feel welcome. To see this all over the community is just so, I say welcoming a lot, but it's welcoming. Like, they don't feel like they're going to be judged for being an outsider. Madison Avenue is just like Grant Boulevard and Ogden Avenue, except it connects straight to the Circle, and the Circle is kind of like the hub of Brookfield. You can get to 7 different streets on the Circle, so you come into that area probably on a daily basis if you are driving, and in the middle of the Circle there's a flag. On different holidays and stuff, sometimes they'll have different flags from different countries in there, again showing ELLs and different people from different backgrounds that this is somewhere that they're welcome, that they're going to be celebrated. Also on Madison Avenue, there are 2 daycares. These daycares I know are so inclusive of any bilingual or immigrant. In the 2 particularly on Madison, they really pushed to be known that we speak Spanish and we want your children to come here. They have classes, they offer, again, like before and after care, because they know that this is something that everyone should have access to, and they push to make sure that they know everyone knows that it's safe and they're welcomed. So overall, Brookfield just has a really strong community, and obviously not the most known for it, but definitely something that I know that Brookfield is working on to strive to become more of a inclusive community.